This is my abandoned E46 that I bought off this guy.
Shake hands on it. Oh, yeah. It's sold.
After putting this car on the back of a recovery truck back to my house and fixing all of the issues that it had wrong with it, giving it a clean and a polish, and getting it through its first MOT in 4 years, and after a month, it's now back on road, looking a bit like me. And if you don't get the correlation, sexy as fuck. But it's definitely not all good news though. We actually found a severe problem on the BMW E46 in the last video, and if this goes unaddressed, it will only get worse and eventually lead it back to being abandoned and rotting away. So by the end of today's video, we are getting to the root of that problem and fixing it. Let's go. Unfortunately for me, it doesn't quite go as cool as that. There's a lot more smells of burning stuff in reality. So there's a serious problem when I put my foot down in this car, and even going up hills, people think it's not a big problem, but it is. When you go up hills, that's when it also happens. And the best way to show you guys is to put this car in 5th gear and just plant my foot to the throttle. Mate, the engine is revving up like it's a 458 Spider with a lightweight flywheel. It goes from 1000 RPM to 5000 RPM in about a second. That is actually a severe problem with the car that we're going to be fixing later down the video. It will only get worse and worse and worse. If you guys know the problem, we'll find out if you're right later on in the video. So the first step to fixing this problem is getting home and ordering said part to fix said problem. I sounded quite smart there. For once. So we're going to add it to basket and we're going to check out, and I'm now poor. Thank you, BMW E46. You're draining my bank account. Now we're going to have to wait until that part comes. So that part will be here in a couple of days. But before that, a lot of you guys are actually telling me to modernize the BMW with a specific thing. And here I am listening to you guys. So this next thing should make a few of you happy until that new part comes. Now, while we actually wait, oh my, I can't get out. This is bloody elegant, innit? Now, until that clutch comes, we can't really do much to fix the car. But we have actually got this beautifully
succulent,
excited,
extravagant,
wonderful package right here that is going to transform the interior of the car. Not even my 2016 BMW has this. Right here is the stock head unit for the car. It doesn't even play cassette players. It plays like mini cassette players. Like, what even is that? If somebody could comment down below, what do I put in that? A Kit Kat or something? I don't fucking know that. But we got no Bluetooth, no aux. All we got is a damn radio. As simple as taking off these 2 trim pieces, we reveal these 2 screws that are hiding all along that hold in the old stereo. We can then gently pry out the old unit and unclip the power cable. That's ready to get sent back in time to the fucking Egyptian time. Next to come out was actually the climate control, as we're not actually going to be needing that anymore. Ooh, mad. So here it is. Here is... That smells lovely, that does. Oh, mate, that's bigger than my TV in my bedroom. Right, so the head unit is right here, and there's one thing we actually need to wire in ourselves. Everything else is plug and play pretty much, but we actually need to wire in the power for the reverse camera to this one right here, which says 12-volt backup camera. This is typical on all aftermarket head units, but pretty much. If you guys don't want to whack out the soldering iron, we got some solder seal wire connectors, pretty much. They're just such a simple way to actually join wires together. I'll show you guys how. So first up, we actually strip the insulation off the wires, and then we quite simply put those wires into the connector on either end, and then quite simply get a heat gun and wave it over it like you're casting a spell in Harry Potter. And slowly it will heat around the wires and also heat up the solder in the middle to form a good connection. And as simple as that, the wires are now connected. If you guys don't think you could do wiring, look how simple that was. Last thing to do was connect up the 50,000 wires to the back of the head unit and then get it installed. We're just going to work it in slowly. Tuck it underneath here. Tuck it underneath these things. Oh, bang. Ta-da!
And now was actually time to install the reverse camera on the other end of the car. And this was dangerous. I must be taking these off wrong. They're like bullets. Oh, beautiful. And for the reverse light, we're going to be using T-Tap connectors pretty much. Quite simply, this little piece crimps down onto one wire. This one connects to it like a T. So right here, we're actually using the power going to the reverse light bulb to actually power the reverse camera so it comes on with the bulb when in reverse. Simple. Next, I had to drill a hole for the camera and the cables to go through to route it into the car. And I accidentally destroyed a wire when drilling, so that's not good. So after soldering those two wires back together and repairing it, I then mounted up the rear camera, ready to fit back to the car, and look at that, looking clean as hell with the wires routed directly into the car. And the last thing to do was get the wires from the head unit all the way to the back of the car, through the firewall, and up into the boot where we can actually connect everything all together. If you've ever thought about installing a reverse camera to your car, it's a lot simpler than it actually looks. Give it a go.
So that is actually the reverse camera and the head unit all installed to the BMW E46. I'm not sure about the placement, and you guys are going to have to let me know about this one, but I can move it and I can buy a new camera, but it does cover a little bit the number plate and it looks a bit funny, so I don't know. Give me some recommendations in the comments. Does that look alright? But now, pretty much, if we actually come into the car, just like so, and if we actually whack it in reverse, you can actually see, whee! We've got a reverse camera now. Oh, so that is just beautiful for the E46. Now, luckily for most of us, cars are made with mirrors. You know, you got one there, one there, one there. You don't really need a camera, but why not? You know what I mean? You don't really need a toilet. You can shit in the back garden, right? But you know, is that going to stop you from using the toilet? No, I didn't think so. This actually comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So literally, my phone's there. I've got my whole Spotify playlist right here. I can blast my tunes too. No more listening to some sausage on the radio trying to sell me a package holiday for two. No. As you can see, you've actually got navigation, and it's a massive screen as well. It's beautiful.
If you guys are at all interested in a head unit just like me from Eonon, click the link in the description and use my discount code TOS20 for $10 off your purchase.
Something I have just noticed though is there was a quite a loud knocking, and once I go over about 30 miles per hour, it gets worse. Have I tightened the wheels up? Hopefully. I can hear a knocking and it's stressing me the f*** out.
And stupidly, this was again my mistake. I just didn't tighten the wheels up. This is my second stupid act of the video and my third stupid act of this E46. As you can see, not everything goes right when working on cars. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I should just retire from working on cars, guys. I am so sorry, guys. Now, onto the real problem.
The clutch just don't feel right. It feels spongy when it gets to the bottom. There's no end to the pedal. It feels like I'm stepping on, like, when I get to the bottom, there's no stop. It just feels like I'm stepping on a really hard foam piece right at the bottom. The pedal don't feel right. Oh, mate, the clutch is getting worse every second driving it. You know what? I used to be able to put 20% throttle down. Now it's about 10% throttle. You know what? A warning light just came up on the dash. I got rocket boosters, mate! Man's got rocket boosters on the back of his E46. I don't think anyone can say that. Hold on. It doesn't matter if it does slip. I could just plant my foot down more and it will catch up eventually. It's like trying to race a Porsche GT3 RS in your BMW. You'll catch up eventually. 5,000 RPM and we're not moving. That don't make no sense. The thing is, the more the clutch slips, the worse the clutch will get because it's just burning. 6,000 RPM. I don't think I could push it any more than that. So I think this shows you right. It's time to get this car back home on the driveway, change this clutch over. Look, I'm revving it in gear like it's in neutral. Oh, I love my job. Why did I pick working on cars as a living? Sitting under a 1.7 ton car is really quite scary. But this is nothing like being scammed in the used car market.
Do you like being scammed? No, didn't think so. Do I like being scammed? No, I didn't think so. Well, that is why I use Car Vertical when shopping in the used car market. There are hundreds of thousands of cars in the used car market which have dodgy history, like mileage fraud, where the car's mileage has actually been rolled back to make it appear to have less miles than it actually does. The reports will also tell you if there's any outstanding finance on the car or any legal issues. Another bolt snapped. Whoa. And there's cars out there that have been crash damaged and written off before and been repaired and put back on the road. And you wouldn't even know unless the seller declared it or you used a Car Vertical check. For certain reports, it will even show you pictures of the damage to show you exactly what went wrong. By simply trusting someone you don't even know to tell the truth about a car's history is a little bit silly now, isn't it? So if you guys are at all interested in protecting your hard-earned money and not being scammed in the used car market, then click the link in the description and use my discount code TOS for 20% off your report. Let's get this exhaust lowered and off the car. Right, so the exhaust is now dropped out and we've basically got to drag this. Oh, I don't even know where to start. This exhaust needs to hit gym, man. Heavy as fuck. So usually with every other clutch I've done on a car, pretty much it's situated at the front of the car, right about here. So pretty much there isn't much to do other than taking off the drive shafts and stuff. But because this car is rear wheel drive, the gearbox is in the middle of the car. So it's about here on the car. So the exhaust is actually blocking it. So that's why we're taking off the exhaust. And that's literally step 1 of 50 to get this gearbox out. So the prop shaft is actually playing hide and seek with us, and that's why we need to take off this heat shield to reveal it. So now that we're under the car, pretty much the gearbox is attached to, I believe this is called a prop shaft. I've never dealt with one of these in my life. So we need to take that off before we can tackle the gearbox. And we're gonna do 2 bolts there, a couple bolts at the front. And the ones we're tackling right now are these couple bolts right here going into the rear differential. Once was a ship. I can't be bothered. Oh, beautiful. Oh, there it is. Can't lie, that took me about a day and a half, but it's out. So using a combination of a spanner and my impact gun, I got these bolts off the front, which connect the prop shaft to the gearbox. And then it was time to bench press a prop shaft by simply removing the 230mm mounting plate. Prop shaft all out. So proud because that was a fucking ball ache. Come on, the small wins. Let's bring it in. That wasn't meant to happen. The next thing to come off was actually the clutch slave cylinder. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. It does actually look a bit wet around the clutch slave cylinder, so that might be the reason for the spongy pedal. I don't know, let me know. You guys are going to know more about it than me. Next, it was onto the gearbox bolts, and I got the 2 smaller ones out, no problem, but the bigger ones were the problem. I love working on cars. It's my favourite thing to do. 1 bolt. 3 hours in and 1 bolt. These gearbox bolts were no joke one bit. I had heat on one side and I had to keep tightening, then loosening, then tightening, then loosening. And keep that process going for a solid about half an hour before they actually eventually break loose. If you look really closely, when I try to unloosen the bolt, it hits a point where it doesn't loosen anymore. Something basically doesn't want these threads to come out. And I think honestly the devil is holding the other side of this bolt so that it doesn't come out, just to piss me off. And my impact gun has stripped off Citroen C1 gearbox bolts, Mini Cooper gearbox bolts with no issues. So this is quite simply bizarre how tight these bolts are. I've genuinely never ever experienced a bolt like this. But finally, after half an hour of going back and forth, WD-40 and fire, it came loose. This bolt literally took me 3 hours to take out, and you can see why. It's like there's metal in the threads that was keeping it from moving. And look at this bolt at the end of it. It looks like it's literally been welded into place, and that's probably why it took me a good hour to take out. But unfortunately, that was the easiest bolt to get out on this gearbox. I don't know if you can see, but there's one right there. There's 2 up in the middle for the starter motor, And then there's 2 more main big bolts for the gearbox. Makes me honestly sick even thinking about trying to get them out. But we got onto the next bolt and we blasted it with a blowtorch, and pretty much this bolt ended things for us.
I've got to have broken this bolt. I snapped this bolt. I think I've just snapped the bolt maybe.
And I was right. I sheared this bolt.
Now, when it was all going all good, mate, look at that now. I cracked the bolt loose, yeah? I don't know if you can see, it is loose. There's a gap. But look at it now. Mate, it's rounded to kingdom come.
So we then had to slap on an extractor socket, and this will basically bite down into the metal and make its own grip so that we can take it out.
Well, that's that bolt gone.
And long story short, this bolt was just too tight for these extractor bolts. I could not get enough grip behind the teeth to actually get this bolt out. So we moved on to the last resort, welding.
Right then, welder is all set up. I got my welding mask all on. Bang.
So this is actually a process where you actually weld on a new nut to the existing bolt to make yourself a new place to put a socket. And the thing that I soon realized about welding is I need to get this hot to get a good weld. However, everything is so close to this bolt, we'd have a risk of causing a fire. And without a fireproof blanket covering anything surrounding it, we can't get a good weld in.
Ow! I just fucking dropped on my head. You know what, this car, I'm gonna throw it in the bin.
Right, after 6 years of working on cars, from subframes on Mini Coopers to clutches on Citroens, Minis, from every single problem on a car, I've never had to wave the white flag in my entire 6 years of mechanics. But today might be the day. I can't do it. I can't do it. Honestly, it took that spanner dropping on my head to actually go, yeah, you know what? I'm not mechanically experienced enough to take these bolts off. Ow! I mean, literally, it knocked the last brains out of my head. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Is this the gearbox? Ow! But yeah, after taking off all this, from the exhaust system to the prop to everything we've taken off, it's just too difficult. There's not enough room. These bolts are satanic, mate. These bolts aren't normal bolts. They have been touched by the devil. Ask my spine how bad these bolts are. Ow! You kind of got to think these bolts have been through 23 years of heat cycles from the gearbox, just welding itself in. They're far from easy to get out, especially when you're laying on the floor. Now the thing is, I do feel like a bit of a failure for you guys and a letdown, you know. You guys have supported this BMW E46 more than any series or car on my channel, and just to be able to quit on 3 bolts is pretty pathetic, to be honest. But so what I'm asking from you guys is help. If there is any mobile mechanics or anybody who thinks that they could get these bolts off, no problem, then hit me up at @the_OtherStuff, and who knows, it would be absolutely beautiful to get one of you guys watching the series on the channel, on my driveway, getting these bolts off as well. Or if you have any suggestions to get these bolts off that I haven't tried already, hit me up. I've tried welding, I've tried blow torches. Maybe it's a case of lowering the subframe and the engine so that the whole gearbox drops. I wouldn't even know how to be honest. But yeah, simply, I can't do it. I cannot fix it until those bolts come off. That's it. All that needs to be done is those bolts need to come off, and then we can get onto the clutch. It's as simple as that. So unfortunately, the BMW has won for today, so the clutch will have to wait until the next video. But that's not the end of today's video. Let's quickly hop upstairs and I'm going to talk to you guys about the price I paid, the most common question I get on this E46. So then, how much did I actually buy the BMW E46 for that was abandoned, neglected, and just sat to rot for 4 years? Now, Umar was actually the previous owner if you haven't watched the full series, and pretty much Umar is actually from AlloyFix, and I've been working with AlloyFix for like 4 or 5 years now, ever since they did the wheels on my Scirocco, and they've been supporting the channel since then. Every single time I need my wheels refurbed or something, I just go straight down there, and they always sort me out. Every other day, Umar is actually on the phone with me, talking about my channel and talking about what I could do. Oh, get this car, get this car. He's a proper supporter of the channel, and
All of this links into the price and why I had such a good steal on this car. I've known them for a long time. I'm not just some random guy who came up to them and said, give me your car. And basically another reason is they didn't even know the car started. They didn't start the car for 4 years. They had no idea. They might have sold me a car that didn't even start. And it didn't really start. It started, but then it died. I bought this BMW E46 330 Ci for £700 off Umar. Gave me an absolute steal. These BMW E46s in good condition and similar mileage and age, it's a bit weird with the market for E46s. They're going anywhere from £2,000 and I've seen some that are going up for £4,000. Now, whether they sell for £4,000 or not is a different story. It cost me a good amount to fix and rectify up to this point, even the clutch, but still I would say £700 is ridiculous. So I'll also do a video on how much this car has cost to actually rectify and actually get back on road, but that will be probably the last video ever on this car. But guys, a massive thank you for the love and support on this car. I'm so sorry we couldn't get it fixed in today's video. Leave some comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you are new. I promise the next video will bang, mate. New exhaust, new clutch. The next video will be an apology to you, so I'll make it a good one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see love faces in my next video.